It's happening. Back in the day when, let's say I was even 16, 17, I had the mentality of dating one person for my whole life and hoping that it would be the movie, the fairy tale storyline plot that would see me happy and married in the end game, really. That's not been the case. And one thing that I always used to tell myself as well was, I'll never leave a girl. I'll never hurt them. And that's still the case. Hurting them isn't still the case. But the one thing that was wrong was that I said that I won't leave them. And in my head, that was so that I didn't hurt them. But really, I was in perpetual denial with myself, where really, who I was really hurting in that scenario, that has never actually happened yet, but the person that I would have been hurting would have been me. And the way around it is, like, the whole time I thought that if I left, I would leave them brokenhearted. But sometimes the relationship might not be stable and where it should be, where you should just be able to be honest with your partner and go, it's not actually working. And I'm not being true to myself right now, or you, by staying in it. So that sort of mentality I had where I was in perpetual denial, I've now got rid of that mentality because it's the wrong way to approach, especially my next relationship, where I'm hoping it will go better. But obviously, send one up to my love life because it's been 4 years. So we're still looking for the one. Hopefully, we can find it soon. But obviously, today we're going to dive into what perpetual denial really is, and not just in the context of me in a relationship. Perpetual denial is the truth that we avoided the whole time. So like I said, if I approached it like that, I would never have been true to myself. I would have sort of just been the pleaser, where, oh, I don't want to hurt you. I didn't want to hurt myself. And that was the truth at the end of the day. Denial isn't ignorance. It's the avoidance of the situation. Most people know the truth deep down. They know the real solution. And for you, it's sort of just a thought or an afterthought in some case. And denial is a sort of defense mechanism that you would use to sort of back up your point, which will be wrong. And what you're really doing is you're delaying the emotional consequence of said decision. Where, like I said, if I was in a relationship and I will not be the one to end this relationship, I'm in denial of the whole relationship as a whole, and I'm not only suffering as a consequence for myself, but also I'm then making my partner suffer as a consequence as well. You always tell yourself that it will all work out in the end, and it's sort of just a test. And I'm really not a fan of the term test, because I think that a relationship's never going to be perfect, because perfect doesn't exist. But a test is silly, like, and for me especially, like we've already mentioned Love Island before, and where like they use it as like a worldwide or like massive UK term that relationships should use, when really it's just a load of nonsense. And you're seeing it as well now, because a lot more people are getting into these situationships, which I really don't believe or agree, and I will never get into one myself. Hopefully, you never know what happens, but I'm hoping that I won't. And the thing is that the whole mentality of people have been shifted to this situationship, where they're in and out of different relationships with different people, when really you tell yourself it's going to be all right with this partner, but then you're completely misaligning it to your future and the plan to sort of be happy rather than be in and out of relationships with different people. Why do we stay in denial? And the thing is, it's easy. It's easy to do that, and it's easier to stay in denial than to change. And we're scared of the pain or conflict that the truth might bring. And it protects us, and it keeps us in our comfort zone, when really, that comfort zone is what is holding us back from growth. There's also a cost of staying in denial, where we're lying to ourselves the whole time, but we're keeping that illusion alive that we're safe when we're not, when there's actually a problem that we're not identifying and wanting to change. Our relationships are suffering because they're built on these truths that are edited, that they're not 100% true, and we're lying to not only our partner but ourselves, like I said, and we're delaying the progress of, if I stay in this relationship, I'm not actively looking for the one that's actually going to be the one to last. We waste our time. But sometimes we can't go, actually, I'm wasting my time here, and act on that and go, this is actually the wrong thing to do right now, and I'm not going to be able to grow because I'm holding myself back. What we deny, it all ends up leaking out. And this ends up in that situationship where sometimes you get that question of, oh, should we be together? But eventually it just ends up in like anger, burnout, and this emotional shutdown between the two people, where you eventually go, this isn't wrong. And because the feelings have grown, it all kicks off. I think there's also sort of denial in everyday life where we stay in the relationship for too long. And the thing with these situationships is that we avoid the conversations that are needed, where we sit down and we go, I mean, one question you would ask to sort of separate situationship and regular relationship is the what are we question. What are we? And until that question's answered, you can't answer anymore. And another thing with these relationships is that you're not yourself, and you pretend to feel strong when really you're hurting deep down, and then you try and put a brave face on, all unaffected, but really your emotional stability is really not helping or being helped by staying together. How can we break the loop? And we have to make sure that we're being honest with ourselves at the end of the day. We've got to ask ourselves the question of, or statements of, this isn't working, and am I okay, and why isn't it working? And when you get all these points together, you realise that, like, you've jumped into it early, and you also don't want this. You want something sustainable. You don't want something that you don't want to be stuck in denial, where you go, should I stay with this person even though we don't love each other? And then when you break that cycle, that's when you can properly sort of put yourself back out there and go, this is what I want. You've got to ask yourself, am I fully accepting the truth, or am I lying to myself? And what do I do? What do I have to do to change? You've got to let acceptance be your strength, and not sort of something that you hold as shame. And acceptance, it's not a weakness. It's liberation, where facing the truth doesn't mean we've got it all figured out, because we've said it 100 times. No one's got it all figured out. And it's not about being ready in life. It's about being your real authentic self. And the main thing with all this together is that you can't move forward until you stop pretending that you're stuck. When you're not stuck, you're just in denial, perpetual denial, where you need to make the decision of, is what I'm doing right now, or am I avoiding the truth?